Clara stood in front of the saloon door. Her hands shook. Inside, men were drinking, laughing, spending money they dug out of the ground. She needed that money. She needed it to eat, to live, to make it through one more week. Her husband died 3 months ago, a mining accident. One moment he was kissing her goodbye. The next moment, the tunnel caved in. Now Clara had nothing. No money, no food, no family. The dress she wore used to be blue. Now it was gray from dust and wear. Her boots had holes. Her stomach hurt from hunger. She pushed the door open. Every head turned. The piano player stopped. Clara walked to the bar. Her face burned hot. She knew what they were thinking. She knew what they wanted. "I need work," she said to the bartender. He was a fat man with a mustache. He looked her up and down. "What kind of work?" he asked. The men behind her laughed. Clara's throat felt tight. "Any kind." The bartender leaned close. "You know what kind of work pays in this town, sweetheart." She did know. She'd seen the women upstairs. The ones who smiled at miners and took them to their rooms. The ones who came down later with money in their hands and emptiness in their eyes. Clara closed her eyes. Her husband's face appeared in her mind. Tom. Sweet, gentle Tom. He would have died all over again if he knew what she was about to do. But Tom was already dead, and Clara was still alive. "I'll do it," she whispered. The bartender grinned. "Good, you start tonight." Clara nodded. She turned to walk toward the stairs. Then the saloon door slammed open. A man stood in the doorway. He was huge, taller than any man Clara had ever seen. His shoulders were so wide he had to turn sideways to fit through the door. He wore animal furs. His beard was thick and black. His hair hung down to his shoulders. His eyes locked onto Clara. The whole room went quiet. "That's Boone," someone whispered behind her. Clara had heard the name before. Everyone in town talked about Boone. He lived alone in the mountains. He only came to town twice a year for supplies. People said he was dangerous, that he'd killed men with his bare hands, that he hated everyone. Boone walked straight toward Clara. She backed up. Her legs hit a table. He stopped right in front of her. Up close, he was even bigger. Clara barely reached his chest. She had to tilt her head back to see his face. His eyes were dark brown. They studied her like she was something rare. "You're Tom's wife," Boone said. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "Yes," Clara said. "How did you—" "Tom was a good man," Boone interrupted. "He helped me once, gave me medicine when I got sick, didn't ask for anything back." Clara's eyes stung with tears. That sounded like Tom. "He died 3 months ago," she said. "I know," Boone said. "I heard." He looked around the saloon, at the men watching them, at the bartender, at the stairs that led to the rooms upstairs. His jaw tightened. "You don't belong here," Boone said to Clara. "I don't have a choice," she said. "I have to eat." Boone was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Come with me." Clara blinked. "What?" "To my cabin, in the mountains. I need help with winter work, cooking, mending, keeping the place clean." The bartender laughed. "She ain't going nowhere with you, Boone. She works for me now." Boone didn't look at him. He kept his eyes on Clara. "I'll pay you," Boone said. "Food, shelter, firewood. You'll be warm and fed all winter." Clara's heart pounded. Everyone said Boone was dangerous, that women who went into the mountains never came back. But everyone also said that about the saloon, that once a woman started working upstairs, she never got out. At least in the mountains, she'd be alone with one man. In the saloon, there would be dozens. "Why?" Clara asked. "Why would you help me?" Boone's expression didn't change. "Because Tom helped me, and because you deserve better than this." The bartender stepped forward. "Now wait just a tay." Boone turned his head. Just that. Nothing more. The bartender stopped talking. He backed up. Boone looked at Clara again. "It's your choice, but decide now." Clara thought about Tom, about the cabin they'd shared, the way he'd held her at night, the way he'd promised they'd build a life together. That life was gone. but maybe she could survive long enough to find a new one. "I'll go," Clara said. Boone nodded once. "Get your things." "I don't have any things," Clara said. "Just what I'm wearing." Something flickered in Boone's eyes. Anger, maybe, or sadness. He turned and walked toward the door. Clara followed him. Behind her, the bartender shouted, "You'll be back. They always come back." But Clara didn't look behind her. She followed Boone out into the cold evening air. His horse was tied to a post. It was a huge black stallion. It snorted when it saw her. Boone untied it. Then he climbed into the saddle. He reached down with one hand. Clara stared at it. This was her last chance to change her mind, to go back inside, to take the safe choice. Except there was no safe choice anymore. She took Boone's hand. His grip was strong. He pulled her up like she weighed nothing. She landed behind him on the saddle. "Hold on," Boone said. Clara wrapped her arms around his waist. She could feel how solid he was through the furs. Like holding onto a tree, Boone kicked the horse. They rode out of town. The buildings got smaller behind them. The noise faded. Soon there was only the sound of the horse's hooves and the wind. Clara looked back once. The town lights were tiny now, like stars that had fallen to earth. She didn't know if she'd ever see them again. She turned forward and held on to Boone tighter. They rode into the mountains. The trail got steep. The trees got thicker. The air got colder. Clara's fingers were numb. Her face hurt from the wind. Just when she thought she couldn't take it anymore, Boone stopped the horse. "There," he said. Clara looked up. A cabin sat in a clearing. It was made of thick logs. Smoke came from the chimney. Light glowed in the windows. It looked warm. It looked safe. It looked like a trap. Boone climbed down from the horse. He helped Clara down. Her legs were stiff. She almost fell. Boone caught her. His hands were on her arms. Steady. Warm. "You can still go back," he said quietly. "I'll take you at first light if you want." Clara looked at the cabin. Then she looked at Boone. His face was hard, rough, scarred. But his eyes were different. There was something in them. Something that made her think maybe the stories were wrong. "I'll stay," Clara said. Boone nodded. He let go of her arms. He walked to the cabin door and pushed it open. Warmth rushed out. Clara stepped inside. The cabin was bigger than she expected. There was a fireplace, a table, a bed in the corner. And then Clara saw it, hanging on the wall above the fireplace. A wedding dress, white lace, delicate, beautiful, but covered in dark stains. Stains that looked like blood. Clara's breath caught in her throat. She turned to look at Boone. He stood in the doorway. His face was unreadable. "Who did that belong to?" Clara whispered. Boone didn't answer. He just closed the door and locked it. Clara stared at the locked door. Her heart hammered in her chest. Boone stood between her and the only way out. "Who did that dress belong to?" Clara asked again. Her voice shook. Boone walked past her. He went to the fireplace. He added wood to the fire. He didn't look at the dress on the wall. "Her name was Sarah," Boone said finally. Clara waited. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it. "She was my wife," Boone said. Was. Past tense. Clara's eyes went back to the blood-stained dress. "What happened to her?" Clara asked. Boone's jaw tightened. "That's not your business. I'm living in your cabin," Clara said. Her voice shook, but she kept talking. "I think it is my business." Boone turned to look at her. For a moment, Clara thought he might grab her, hurt her, do whatever terrible thing the town said he did. But he just looked tired. "She died," Boone said. 2 years ago. How? That's not something I talk about." Clara's heart hammered. "Did you kill her?" The question hung in the air between them. Boone's jaw clenched. His hands curled into fists. Then he said very quietly, "No." Clara wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe she hadn't just made the worst mistake of her life. But the dress hung on the wall like a ghost, and Boone's eyes held secrets that looked heavy enough to crush a man. "The bed is yours," Boone said. He pointed to the corner. I'll sleep by the fire." He walked to the fireplace and sat down on the floor. He didn't look at her. Clara stood frozen in the middle of the cabin. She was alone in the mountains with a stranger. A stranger, everyone said, was dangerous. A stranger who had a blood-stained wedding dress hanging on his wall. Clara looked at the locked door. Then she looked at Boone. He was staring into the fire. His face was hard and distant. What had she done? What had she just agreed to? And whose blood was on that dress? Clara didn't sleep that night. She lay in the bed fully clothed. Her eyes stayed open. She watched Boone by the fireplace. He didn't move much, just sat there staring at the flames. Sometimes his hand would go to his chest, like something hurt there. Clara's mind raced. The blood on the dress, Sarah's death, the locked door. What if Boone had killed his wife? What if Clara was next? But then why would he help her? Why would he bring her here and offer her the bed? Killers didn't do that, did they? The fire crackled. Shadows danced on the walls. Clara's eyes grew heavy. She tried to stay awake, but her body was so tired, so hungry, so cold for so long. The bed was warm, soft. Her eyes closed. Just for a moment, she told herself. Just for a moment. Clara woke to the smell of food. Her eyes opened. Sunlight streamed through the window. Morning. She sat up fast. Her heart pounded. Boone stood at the stove. He was cooking something in a pan. The door was unlocked now. She could see it from where she sat. Boone turned and saw she was awake. "You need to eat," he said. He brought a plate to the table. Eggs, bacon, bread with butter. More food than Clara had seen in weeks. Her stomach growled so loud she heard it. Boone heard it too. Something flickered in his eyes. "Sit," he said. Clara got out of bed. She walked to the table. Her legs felt shaky. She sat down. The food smelled like heaven, but she didn't pick up the fork. "Aren't you eating?" she asked. "I already ate," Boone said. Clara looked at the plate, then at Boone. "How do I know it's safe?" she asked. Boone's eyebrows went up. "You think I poisoned it?" "I don't know what to think," Clara said. Her voice was small but steady. "I don't know you, and you have a dead wife's dress on your wall with blood on it." Boone stared at her. Then he picked up the fork. He took a bite of the eggs. Chewed. Swallowed. "There," he said. "Not poisoned." He set the fork down and walked away. Clara's face burned hot. She felt stupid, but she picked up the fork and ate. The food was the best thing she'd ever tasted. She tried to eat slowly, to be polite, but she was so hungry. She finished everything on the plate in minutes. When she looked up, Boone was watching her from across the room. "When did you last eat?" he asked. 3 days ago, Clara admitted. "Some bread from the church." Boone's jaw tightened. "The town let Tom's wife starve?" "The town has its own problems," Clara said. "The mine isn't producing like it used to. Everyone's struggling." "That's no excuse," Boone said. He came back to the table. He took her plate. "There's more if you want it," he said. Clara shook her head. "I'll be sick if I eat too much at once." Boone nodded, like he understood. He washed the plate in a bucket of water. Clara watched him. His movements were careful, precise. He didn't seem like a killer, but she'd heard stories about men who seemed nice until they weren't. "What do you want me to do?" Clara asked. "You said you needed help with winter work." Boone dried his hands. "The cabin needs cleaning, mending, cooking, basic things. That's all. That's all." Clara studied his face. "Why did you really bring me here?" Boone was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I told you, because Tom helped me once." "That's not the whole reason," Clara said. Boone's eyes met hers. They were dark and deep and full of things he wouldn't say. "No," he admitted. "It's not." "Then what is?" Boone looked at the dress on the wall. "Because I know what it's like," he said quietly. "To lose everything, to have nowhere to go, to think the only choice you have is to destroy yourself." His voice was so sad it made Clara's chest hurt.
"Sarah?"
Clara asked softly. Boone nodded. She had nowhere to go either. I brought her here, tried to help her. What happened? Boone's hands curled into fists. I failed. The words hung in the air like smoke. Clara wanted to ask more, to understand, but the look on Boone's face stopped her. Whatever happened to Sarah, it had broken something inside him. I won't fail again, Boone said. He looked at Clara. You're safe here, I promise you that. Clara wanted to believe him, but promises were easy to make, harder to keep. Okay, she said finally. Boone nodded. He walked to the door. I'm going to check the traps, he said. I'll be back before dark. Don't go outside. The mountains are dangerous if you don't know them. I won't, Clara said. Boone opened the door. Cold air rushed in. He looked back at her one more time. Then he left. Clara sat alone in the cabin. She looked around slowly. The fireplace, the table, the bed, the dress. What secrets was this place hiding? What really happened to Sarah? And why did Boone keep her wedding dress on the wall like a shrine? Clara stood up. Her legs felt stronger now that she'd eaten. She walked around the cabin, looking, searching. Under the bed, she found a trunk. Her heart pounded. She shouldn't look. It wasn't her business. But she needed to know. She needed to know if she was safe. Clara opened the trunk. Inside were clothes, women's clothes, beautiful dresses, shoes, a hairbrush, Sarah's things. Clara's hands shook as she moved them aside. At the bottom of the trunk was a book, a journal. Clara picked it up. The leather cover was worn and soft. She opened it. The first page had writing in careful, neat letters. This journal belongs to Sarah Miller. If you're reading this, I'm probably dead. Clara's breath caught. She turned the page. My husband's name is Boone Miller. Everyone thinks he's a monster. But he's not. He's the kindest man I've ever known. He saved me when no one else would. Clara's hands trembled. She kept reading. I'm writing this because I need someone to know the truth. About what really happened. About why I came here. About the man who's hunting me. The man who's hunting me. Clara's blood went cold. She flipped through the pages frantically. More entries. More secrets. And then, near the end, one entry made Clara's heart stop. He found me. After all this time, he found me. He says if I don't come back to him, he'll kill Boone. He'll burn this cabin to the ground. He'll make sure everyone I love suffers. The next page was blank. The rest of the journal was empty. Clara's hands shook so hard she almost dropped the book. Sarah hadn't died in an accident. Someone had killed her, or she'd killed herself to protect Boone. Clara heard footsteps outside, heavy boots on the wooden porch. She shoved the journal back in the trunk, slammed it closed, pushed it under the bed. The door opened, but it wasn't Boone. A man stood in the doorway. He was tall, well-dressed, handsome. He smiled at Clara, but his eyes were cold, dead. Hello, he said. You must be the new one. Clara's heart hammered. Who are you? The man stepped inside. He closed the door behind him. My name is James Whitmore, he said. I'm looking for Boone Miller. Is he here? Clara's mouth went dry. No, he's out checking traps. Good, James said. His smile grew wider. That gives us time to talk. About what? James walked toward her slowly, like a cat stalking a mouse. About Sarah, he said. About what happened to her, and about what's going to happen to you if you don't leave this cabin right now. Clara backed up until she hit the wall. James stopped right in front of her. Up close, she could smell whiskey on his breath, and something else. Something that smelled like death. Sarah was mine, James said softly. She belonged to me, but she ran away, came here, thought Boone could protect her. His hand reached out. He touched Clara's hair. She flinched. But Boone couldn't protect her, James whispered. And he can't protect you either. What did you do to Sarah? Clara asked. Her voice shook. James smiled. I reminded her where she belonged, who she belonged to. Clara's stomach turned. You killed her. I gave her a choice, James said. Come back to me, or watch Boone die. She chose Boone. His fingers tightened in Clara's hair. So I made her suffer, Jay said. I made her bleed. I made sure her last moments were agony. And I made Boone watch. Clara couldn't breathe. The dress? She whispered. The blood. That's right, James said. I left it there as a reminder, so Boone would never forget what happens when someone takes what's mine. Tears burned Clara's eyes. Why are you telling me this? James leaned close. His lips were almost touching her ear. Because you're going to help me, he whispered. You're going to help me finish what I started. What? You're going to kill Boone Miller. Clara's blood ran cold. And if you don't, James said, I'll do to you exactly what I did to Sarah. He let go of her hair. He walked to the door. He looked back at her and smiled. I'll be watching, he said. You have 3 days. Then he left. Clara's legs gave out. She slid down the wall to the floor. Her whole body shook. James Whitmore had killed Sarah, had made Boone watch, and now he wanted Clara to kill Boone, or he'd kill her too. Clara looked at the dress on the wall, at the blood that stained the white lace. Sarah's blood. Outside, she heard footsteps again, different this time. Heavier. Boone. The door opened. Boone stepped inside carrying 2 rabbits. He stopped when he saw Clara on the floor. What happened? He asked. His voice was sharp, worried. Clara looked up at him. This man had tried to save Sarah. This man had failed. This man was going to die if Clara didn't do something. But what could she do? Clara, Boone said. He dropped the rabbits. He crossed the room and knelt beside her. What's wrong? Are you hurt? His hands were on her shoulders, gentle, careful. Clara's eyes filled with tears. She had 3 days. 3 days to figure out how to save them both. Or 3 days before James Whitmore came back and killed them. Nothing, Clara lied. I'm fine. But she wasn't fine. And neither was Boone. Because James Whitmore was watching. And Clara didn't know how to stop him. Clara couldn't tell Boone. That's what she decided. If Boone knew James was back, he'd go after him. He'd try to fight him. And James would kill him, just like he'd killed Sarah. So Clara said nothing. She stood up. She wiped her eyes. I'm fine, she said again. Just thinking about my husband. It wasn't completely a lie. She was thinking about death, about loss, about how quickly everything could be taken away. Boone studied her face. He didn't look like he believed her, but he nodded. I'll cook the rabbits, he said. He picked them up and went to work. Clara watched him. His big hands moved carefully, skinning the animals, preparing the meat. He was so gentle. How could anyone want to hurt him? But James did. James wanted him dead. And Clara had 3 days to figure out what to do. That night, Clara lay in bed again. But this time she had a plan. She would leave. She'd sneak out before dawn, go back to town, disappear. If she wasn't here, James couldn't use her against Boone. Maybe that would be enough. Maybe James would leave Boone alone if Clara was gone. But deep down, Clara knew the truth. James wouldn't stop. He'd been watching this cabin for 2 years, waiting, planning. He wanted Boone to suffer, and Clara leaving wouldn't change that. Still, she had to try. She waited until she heard Boone's breathing slow, until she was sure he was asleep by the fire. Then she slipped out of bed. She moved quietly, 1 step at a time. The floor creaked. Clara froze. Boone didn't move. She kept going. She reached the door. Her hand touched the handle. Where are you going? Boone's voice cut through the darkness. Clara's heart jumped into her throat. She turned. Boone sat up by the fire. He was looking right at her. I need air, Clara lied. At midnight? Clara's mind raced. I couldn't sleep. Boone stood up. He walked toward her. You're lying, he said. His voice wasn't angry, just tired, sad. You've been scared since I got back today, Boone said. Something happened while I was gone. What was it? Clara's eyes burned with tears. She wanted to tell him, wanted to warn him, but she was so afraid. Nothing happened, she whispered. Boone stopped right in front of her. He looked down at her in the darkness. "Did someone come here?" he asked quietly. Clara's breath caught. Boone's jaw tightened. "They did. Who was it?" "No one," Clara said. "Clara." Boone's voice was gentle but firm. "I can't protect you if you don't tell me the truth." The words broke something inside her. "You can't protect me anyway," Clara said. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You couldn't protect Sarah, and you can't protect me." Boone's face went pale. "What do you know about Sarah?" he asked. Everything came spilling out. The journal, the trunk, the man named James, and the 3 days. Boone listened. His face got harder and harder. When Clara finished, he was silent for a long time. Then he said, "James Whitmore." "You know him?" "I know him," Boone said. His voice was like gravel. "He owned Sarah before she came here?" "Owned?" "She worked for him in a fancy house in Denver. He said she could leave any time, but when she tried, he beat her, locked her up, told her she belonged to him." Boone's hands curled into fists. "She escaped, made it here. I found her half dead on my doorstep. She'd walked for days through the mountains." Clara's heart ached. "I thought she'd be safe here," Boone said. "I thought the mountains were too far, too hard to reach. I thought James would give up. But he didn't. No, he came 2 years later, right when Sarah started to smile again, right when she started to feel safe." Boone's voice cracked. "He gave her the same choice he gave you, kill me or watch me die. But Sarah, she couldn't do it, so James killed her instead, made me watch. Then he left." Tears ran down Clara's face. "Why didn't he kill you?" she asked. "Because that would be too easy," Boone said. "He wanted me to live, to suffer, to remember every day what I couldn't save." Boone looked at the dress on the wall. "I kept it there," he said, "to remind myself, to make sure I never forgot my failure." Clara's chest hurt. "It wasn't your fault," she said. "It was," Boone said. "I should have been faster, stronger, better." "James is evil," Clara said. "That's not on you." Boone looked at her. His eyes were wet. "And now he's using you the same way," Boone said, "to hurt me again. So what do we do?" Clara asked. Boone was quiet. Then he said, "We run." "What, tonight? Right now, we take the horse and we ride as far as we can. Maybe we can get to the next town, get help." Clara shook her head. "He'll follow us. He followed Sarah for years." "Then we fight," Boone said. "He'll kill you." "Maybe," Boone said. "But I won't let him hurt you. Not like Sarah." Clara looked at this big, broken man. He'd already lost everything once, and he was willing to lose it all again to save her, a woman he barely knew. Something shifted in Clara's chest. "There's another way," she said slowly. "What?" Clara's mind raced. An idea was forming. Dangerous, risky, but maybe the only way. "We make James think I'm going to do it," Clara said. "We make him think I'm going to kill you. And when he comes to watch, we trap him." Boone's eyes widened. "That's too dangerous. It's the only way," Clara said. "If we run, he follows. If you fight him alone, you die. But if we work together..." She grabbed Boone's hands. "We can end this," she said. "We can stop him from hurting anyone else ever again." Boone looked at their joined hands, then at Clara's face. "Why would you risk this?" he asked. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do," Clara said. "You saved me when no one else would, just like you saved Sarah." "I didn't save Sarah, but you tried," Clara said. "And that matters." Boone's jaw worked. She could see him thinking, weighing the options. "If we do this," he said finally, "you have to follow my lead exactly. No hesitation, no second guessing." "I will," Clara promised. "And if it goes wrong," Boone said, "you run. You leave me and you run as fast as you can. Promise me." "Boone, promise me, Clara." Clara swallowed hard. "I promise." Boone nodded. "Then we have 3 days to plan." The next morning, Clara walked outside. She knew James was watching. She could feel it. She stood in the clearing and looked toward the trees. "I'll do it," she called out. Her voice shook. "I'll kill him. Just give me time." The wind blew through the pines. No answer came. But Clara knew James heard her. She went back inside. Boone was waiting. "He heard," Clara said. "Good," Boone said. "Now we wait." The next 2 days were the strangest of Clara's life. During the day, she and Boone prepared. They moved furniture, set traps, planned every detail. But they also talked about Tom, about Sarah, about the lives they'd lost, about the lives they wanted to build. Clara learned that Boone loved books, that he taught himself to read when he was 12, that he came to the mountains because people in town called him a monster for being different, for being big and quiet and scarred, that he wasn't a monster at all. He was just a man who'd been hurt too many times. And Clara told him about Tom, about their dreams, about how Tom died reaching for a better life, about how Clara felt like she died with him. "But you didn't," Boone said softly. "You're still here, still fighting." "So are you," Clara said. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Something that made Clara's heart beat faster. Something that felt like hope. But they didn't have time for hope. They had one more day until James came. The third day arrived. Clara woke before dawn. Her stomach was in knots. Today, everything would end, one way or another. She got dressed. Her hand shook as she buttoned her dress. Boone was already up. He'd been up all night, checking the traps, making sure everything was ready. "You don't have to do this," he said when he saw her. "Yes, I do," Clara said. She walked to him. They stood face to face. "Thank you," Clara said, "for everything, for saving me, for trusting me." Clara, she stood on her toes and kissed his cheek. Boone went very still. When Clara pulled back, his eyes were wide. "For luck," she said softly. Boone's hand came up. He touched where her lips had been. "When this is over," he started. "When this is over," Clara interrupted, "we'll talk about everything." Boone nodded. They heard footsteps outside. Slow, confident. James was here. Clara's heart hammered. Boone squeezed her hand once. Then he went to his position by the fireplace. Clara picked up the gun they'd prepared. It was heavy in her hands. She stood in the middle of the room. The door opened. James Whitmore walked in. He smiled when he saw Clara holding the gun. "Good girl," he said. "I knew you'd make the right choice." He looked at Boone. "Hello, Boone," James said. "Did you miss me?" Boone's face was stone. "You should have stayed gone. And miss all the fun?" James laughed. "I've been waiting 2 years for this." He looked at Clara. "Do it. Shoot him." Clara raised the gun. Her hands shook. She pointed it at Boone's chest. Boone looked at her. His eyes were calm, trusting. He believed she wouldn't do it. He believed in her. Clara took a breath. Then she spun around and pointed the gun at James. "No," she said. James's smile vanished. "Wrong choice," he snarled. He pulled out his own gun. But Boone was already moving. He'd been waiting for this moment. Boone lunged forward. His massive body slammed into James. The gun flew from James's hand. They crashed to the floor. James was fast. He rolled and kicked, caught Boone in the ribs. Boone grunted but didn't stop. His fist connected with James's jaw. Blood sprayed. They rolled across the floor, punching, fighting. Clara tried to aim her gun, but they were moving too fast. She might hit Boone. James got on top. He wrapped his hands around Boone's throat. "You should have died with Sarah," James hissed. Boone's face turned red. Clara ran forward. She slammed the gun into the back of James's head. James roared. He let go of Boone. He spun and grabbed Clara's wrist. His grip was like iron. He twisted. Clara screamed. The gun fell. James pulled Clara close. His arm wrapped around her throat. "Looks like history repeats itself," James said. Boone got to his feet. Blood ran from his nose. "Let her go," Boone said. "Or what?" James said. "You'll kill me? You couldn't even save Sarah." His arm tightened around Clara's throat. She couldn't breathe. Black spots danced in her vision. "Watch her die," James whispered. Just like Sarah. But Clara wasn't Sarah, and she wasn't helpless. Tom had taught her one thing before he died: always fight back. Clara threw her head backward as hard as she could. Her skull cracked into James's nose. He screamed and let go. Clara dropped to the floor. Boone charged forward. He hit James like a bear. They went through the door and out onto the porch. Clara gasped for air. She crawled forward. Outside, Boone and James fought in the dirt. James pulled a knife. "Boone!" Clara screamed. Boone saw it just in time. He caught James's wrist. They struggled, the knife between them. Slowly, inch by inch, Boone's strength won. He pushed the knife back. James's eyes went wide. "No," he whispered. The knife sank into James's chest. James made a choking sound. Blood bubbled from his lips. He looked at Boone. "Sarah?" She screamed your name when she died. Then James went still. His eyes stared at nothing. Boone pushed the body away. He stood there, breathing hard. Blood on his hands, on his clothes. Clara ran to him. "Boone," she said. "Boone, are you okay?" He looked at her. His eyes were distant. Then he collapsed. "Boone!" Clara caught him. They sank to the ground together. "I'm okay," he said. His voice was rough, just tired. Clara held him. They sat there in the dirt, holding each other. James Whitmore's body lay a few feet away. It was over. Finally over. They buried James in the woods. Not because he deserved it, but because it was the right thing to do. Clara stood next to Boone as they filled in the grave. "What happens now?" she asked. Boone was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "We tell the sheriff, we tell him everything, and we let the law decide. What if they don't believe us? Then we deal with it," Boone said. Together. Together. The word made Clara's heart warm. They walked back to the cabin. Inside, Boone looked at the wedding dress on the wall. He walked over to it slowly. He took it down. Clara watched as he folded it carefully. "Sarah deserves peace," he said quietly, "not to be a reminder of pain." He put the dress in the trunk, closed it. When he turned around, his eyes met Clara's. "I want to try again," he said. "Not to replace Sarah, but to live again, to build something new." He took a step toward Clara. "If you'll have me," he said. Clara's eyes filled with tears. She thought about Tom, about the life she'd lost. But Tom would want her to be happy. He would want her to live. "Yes," she said. Boone closed the distance between them. He cupped her face in his big, gentle hands. "I can't promise it will be easy," he said, "but I can promise I'll never stop trying to protect you, to make you happy." "That's all I need," Clara whispered. Boone leaned down. He kissed her. It was soft, gentle, full of promise. When they pulled apart, Clara was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in months. "What do we do now?" she asked. Boone looked around the cabin, at the home he'd built, the life he'd tried to create. "We start over," he said. "Both of us, together." Clara nodded. She looked out the window at the mountains. They weren't prison walls. They were protection, beauty, home. And for the first time since Tom died, Clara felt like she could breathe again. 3 months later, Clara stood in front of the cabin. Spring had come to the mountains. Flowers bloomed in the clearing. Birds sang in the trees. The snow had melted. Everything felt new. Boone walked up behind her. He wrapped his arms around her waist. "Happy?" he asked. "Happy," Clara said. She turned in his arms. They'd gone to town, told the sheriff everything. James Whitmore was wanted for murder in 3 states. No one mourned him. Clara and Boone were free. They decided to stay in the mountains, to build a life here. Clara was teaching Boone to read better. He was teaching her to hunt. They were learning each other, growing together. And every night, they held each other by the fire. 2 broken people who'd found a way to heal. "I love you," Boone said. He'd said it before, but it still made Clara's heart soar. "I love you too," she said. She kissed him. The mountains stretched out around them. Wild, beautiful, free. And Clara knew she was finally home, not because of the place, but because of the man beside her, the man who'd saved her, the man she'd saved in return. They'd both lost everything, but together they'd found something new, something worth fighting for, something worth living for: love. The end. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below telling us where you're watching from. We love hearing from listeners all around the world. What did you think of Clara and Boone's story? Drop a comment and let us know.